What's up guys, Cass here, and today we're going to go over the DIY kit for the Ancient Arrow on Link's Breath of the Wild. So this is pretty much what you'll be receiving in your package. You have your 2 halves, some twine. You're going to have 8 pieces of these. I believe one of them just fell on the floor just now, so be careful when you unwrap your stuff. You're going to have a set of fairy lights and a set of pre-soldered LEDs. So I'm going to go through the steps and show you guys how to install all of this, put it together, paint it, and all of that. For this build, some tools you're going to need is an X-Acto knife. You're going to need a pair of pliers. You need some Gorilla Glue, Super Glue, Crazy Glue, like filler and sandable primer. It doesn't have to be this. You can use a normal primer also. I like using this Rust-Oleum hammered chestnut color. It gives it a really cool, I don't know if you guys can tell here, focus. Yeah, it has like this really cool Breath of the Wild-esque type of finish to it that I think is really neat. But again, you can paint this whatever color you'd like. And then you need a clear coat. You can do gloss or matte. That's all up to you. Some sandpaper. This is basically just like Trapper Keeper, like separators. So that's what we're gonna use on the inside to give a little bit more yellowish tint to that stuff. So you guys will see that stuff later. And you're also gonna need a pineapple pen and an apple pen. All right, so first thing we're gonna do is grab our parts. And we're gonna grab our sandpaper and we're just gonna kind of smooth out any imperfections. Remember, this is raw. This comes straight from the 3D printed bed to you guys. So if you want a smooth finish on your surface, you're gonna wanna grab some sandpaper and just kind of smooth out certain areas and make sure that any little specks or imperfections are basically sanded down. I like doing sanding on the raw piece first, and then I'll do it further by adding a coat of filler sandable primer. You can do any regular primer too. I think that would work just as well, just to kind of fill in more imperfections and just sand it down even more, maybe with a finer grit sandpaper, and then put everything together. So I'm just gonna fast forward through this. We're gonna move on to the next step. All right, now that we're done with our sanding, we're gonna grab some of these little parts over here. I'm gonna show you guys, well, hopefully show you guys something. So these things, the way that they come, they're not perfectly, again, you guys are getting raw pieces, so a lot of this stuff is gonna need to get, whoops. So you're gonna grab an X-Acto knife and just kind of scrape all of this off. The bottom part of it usually has like a little bit of a lip. You wanna take that off also, or else it's not gonna go into the hole. So I'm gonna go through that process real quick, and then we're gonna keep going with the build. All right, so with all of our little parts finished here, I'm gonna go ahead and turn this over. And I'm literally just going to choose where it is that I want these to be. Usually doing them at certain key points. So for example, here in the front tip, this part here, and the back piece here are usually some of the more important ones to use. So you only get you got 8 of them really, so you can put as many or as little of them as you want. There's just extra, because what happens is the more you put in here, the more secure it will be, the harder it will be to pull apart whenever you need to access the inside. The less you put, the less secure, but the easier it will be to pry apart. So that's completely up to you. And you'll know if the step from earlier about like chipping off the excess works or not, because these will either fit or they won't. So if they don't fit, just go back, chip them up a little bit more, and then get back to it. So, all right, I'm gonna do this one here. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then these I'm gonna end up doing with magnets, but you guys can go ahead and plug all of those in. So I'm just gonna go through the process with these 4, Gorilla Glue or Crazy Glue, whatever it is that you decide to use. And I'm literally just going to dab up, the inside of this on the walls, on the side, and at the bottom. And then I'm gonna place my piece in there and, you know, hope and pray that it sticks properly. Same thing here. And then I'm gonna speed through the rest of this. while this is drying, you can grab your sheet. You can find this stuff at Walmart. I mean, Joann's craft store might even have it. I don't include it in the kit because everyone's gonna want a different color. People have things about accuracy, blah, blah, blah. In any case, so you're gonna grab your whatever sheet that you ended up picking. The darker this is, the better. It'll work better for diffusion. So as you can see here, I have like a slightly more yellow one, but this is a little darker yellow. Same type of stuff, so just go out to your local stores and find something that you think is gonna work. And then you're really gonna bring this over your piece and grab your Apple pen. Y'all thought I was kidding about the Apple pen. I really have an Apple pen. And what I'm gonna do is basically trace out, so like this right here, right there. All right, and I'm gonna cut this out, I'm gonna place it in there. And we're gonna do the same thing for this, cut that out and place it in there. That way there's something there to diffuse the lights on the inside so that people don't see the electronics when you turn your piece on and off. All right, so I'm gonna go through that real quick. All right, so now we have our insert there. I'm actually pretty surprised that I got it right on the first time. It's always better if you guys give yourself a little bit more room, and so that it doesn't fit, and then just slightly trim it until you get it right. But then now you can see there's like the yellow on the inside now. So when we put the lights in, it has a nice little diffusion to it. And if you guys want to diffuse something like this further, so if you end up putting this inside of here and you turn on your lights and you can still see the wiring, super simple. Just grab that same piece that you have and grab your sandpaper. I do this with a nice fine grit. I'm doing it with 100 right now. If you did like an 800, I think it would look a lot nicer. And sand it down, go one direction, and then sand it down in the other direction. Okay. But you're gonna make sure that the part that you sanded is on the inside of the piece. That way this nice glossy part is what's looking out. So because I did it on the inside, I flipped it before I sanded it, I can just put it in the exact same position. And now, right, it's a little bit more diffused. You can't see straight through it. Okay, so you're gonna do that for obviously 2 of your parts. So you're gonna have 2 of these. So you can use this same piece, trace the pattern, do it up, put it in, and then we're gonna move on to the next step. So now that all of my pieces are glued, and I feel like I've given them enough time to kind of glue to each other. Remember that for the ones that I make, I always put magnets in it. That way it's, even though I use less pegs, it still has a strong connection because I do have magnets inside of here, which makes it also easier to align. So with however many pegs you guys decided to do it, just go ahead and do your thing and just make sure to check the fit, make sure everything snaps into place and all of that. So the goal is to almost not have a seam with everything, all right? But a lot of the painting is going to hide that. So this is basically a solid piece. And as far as taking it apart, even if you used a lot of pegs or no pegs, always start from the battery hole back here. Just kind of pry that open and then just kind of like left, right, and go ahead until you have it completely open. All right. One thing that I want to take note of for the kit that you guys are going to receive, this is still kind of a version 2.0. What you guys are getting is kind of definitely a 3.0. See, I have 1 peg here and one's missing there. The version that you're getting is going to have those 2 pegs. And the reason why that's there is because this piece right here, your blade, is also going to have matching holes for this to fit right through. That way you don't have to do any guessing or gluing or anything. I mean, you can still glue it to reinforce it to at least one side, but you don't have to. This is gonna slide right into place, and all you guys have to do is close your piece. In my case, I'm going to take these off because I will end up gluing them, but for you guys, don't worry about doing that. These are nice and strong. As you can see, it takes a bit of force to pry these off, but those will be there, and you will have holes on your blade, and you're just gonna slide those things right in, and it's gonna fall right into place. So first I'm gonna do my 2-in-1 filler primer on both pieces. All right, so we're back from the paint room. As you can see, everything's nice and dry, but you know, there's still some lines and striations there, so I'm gonna grab my sandpaper and do one more round of sanding to get everything nice and smooth, and then I'll do the metallic top coat that we were talking about earlier. Also, as you can see, I've already pre-cut my little pieces, so it's kind of, you know, this is gonna be for that circle in here, these are for the small one in here, so on and so forth. Or if you don't want to do like individual pieces, you can also just make something that fits like everything at the same time, right? Well, I have to cut out grooves for these to sit in, but you get the idea. All right, so keep on sanding. All right, so now that we're done sanding, you get a sense of, you know, how we go from this to this, something that's nice and smooth. A lot of filling has been done to the part. Obviously, you guys don't get all of this. This is just the support stuff that I take out. But you get the idea. Two smooth parts. Now we're gonna go ahead and do the metallic paint with the Rust-Oleum, and then we're gonna hand detail all that stuff and install all of our electronics. So we're back in the paint booth. Gonna hit it with that Rust-Oleum chestnut. All right, so our part is painted. Just gonna grab some paint. This is literally some, when you go to like Home Depot or Lowe's, sometimes they have what are called mist tints. It's like a color sample that someone asked for that wasn't quite right, and then they bring it back, and then they sell it for like $1 or like $2, which is really cool because I really like using these house paints on props because they don't crack, they last a really long time, and they're very flexible also. So I'm gonna go ahead and paint these all of the proper colors. Go ahead and speed through the process, and we're gonna get into the electronics. All right, now that we're done with our paint job, we can start working on the inside of our piece here. So what I'm gonna do is start gluing these into place. All right, so got our parts, everything's glued in. Now they're looking good, we're looking nice. And now what we're gonna do is, you can just pick a side really. I'm going to do this one. What is this, the left side? So I'm gonna grab the blade and I'm gonna glue it into the left side. I'm gonna try this with the Gorilla Glue and hope that it sticks. But you guys don't have to worry about this process too much because you're gonna have the two tabs in there that this just slides in and holds. So technically you don't even need glue on yours. Why am I even going through this step? Well, just to show you guys, I guess. All right, so I got that there. And for me doing this, I really need to make sure that this is kind of like lined up as I wait for it to glue. Well, as I wait for the glue to dry. And then I'm gonna end up just reinforcing the inside with some hot glue. I'm gonna try and put it down so I don't have to hold it the whole time. And then I'm just gonna let that dry. All right, so this is dry, I can pick it right up. I'm going to grab my hot glue and just reinforce this a little bit on the inside, which basically means I'm just gonna gob a bunch of hot glue up in there. All right, so that's that. And now we're gonna set up our electronics. So since this is the part with the blade, this is going to be the part that I put all of the wiring in. So, you don't have to do that. You can do it on this side if you prefer. All up to you. So first thing I'm gonna do is really just figure out how I'm gonna put these in. So these are super flexible, so you can kind of bend them to your will and get them to do exactly what it is that you want to do. And what you want to have is like a little bit of it in here, and then the rest of this, I'm just going to roll up around my hand, like so. This is basically what the electronics look like for this part here. Right. And then this is going to face this way. You can tuck the wire under this piece here and put it down, or you can put it off to the side right here. Now this is going to be a little bit hard to put in, but what it's going to do is make it like a very solid, just kind of like fitted, nice fitted position. This way, it's not gonna fall out now. If you're not comfortable doing that, you can definitely get a piece of Velcro, put it underneath the battery pack, and then stick it down. So, you know, always different ways to skin the cat. So I'm gonna go ahead and reorganize these. Just lay them flat, really. Make sure you can get some clear tape and put it on the inside to make sure that you just like hold everything down. It's not really necessary, but again, if you're into wire management and organizing, definitely one way for you to go. All right, and then the last piece is going to be these lights. So these are gonna sit right here. So what I'm gonna do with these is I'm gonna spread them out and kind of get them to do one at the bottom, one at the top, like so. Right, and that's gonna light this blade up. And these are pretty wide angles, so they'll get the whole thing. You just want to have one at the bottom and one kind of at the top. You'll notice that the color on this is kind of white right now. There's a really quick way to fix this. You can either, like in this example, you can grab like a marker or some acrylic paints and tint this blue. I mean, you can even dye this blue if you'd like, or you can grab a Sharpie and draw on this and then put it on. I'm gonna show you guys what a big difference that makes. All right, so I grab myself a Sharpie and I'm literally going to put this light blue, couple of wipes, make sure that it actually shows up. I have a tendency of going pretty light. Do a couple of layers. So I'm gonna leave the first one white and this one blue, so that you can already tell the difference in color here, right? And then see, it's already have like that nice blue glow. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that with the other one. All right. Now we're Breath of the Wild, right? And so this is kind of like a sky blue Sharpie. You'll get the same, I can't say the same effect, but you'll get a similar effect with a darker blue. But I would recommend a lighter blue. It's more like a screen accurate color. So, I mean, you can even do this with some acrylic paint. It doesn't have to be a Sharpie. I only use a Sharpie because I'm going to glue these on with the Gorilla Glue, and the Sharpie is not going to get in the way of gluing these two parts together. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. All right, so once this is nice and glued, you're going to go ahead and do the same step for this. Again, remember, you can just grab a piece of Velcro, put it on the battery, and put it on the opposite side of this and stick it that way if you're not comfortable running the wire on the side. I've done this before and it works pretty well. It doesn't put really that much strain on the wire, so I think it's a good solution. All right, so I'm gonna have this. You wanna just have these pretty much like line up with each other or be as close to each other as possible, and then just kind of Again, you can get a piece of clear tape, tack everything down, clean up your wires on the inside. All right, and now I'm gonna grab my piece. And there we go. Quick fix. Everything is there. And for the final details, I'm gonna go ahead and grab my twine. Be sure that when you're wrapping your twine, you don't go over this area here. This needs to be exposed so that you can slip in your arrow. Just kind of tuck it in nice and neat. That way you can always take it out if you need to, because eventually you will need to open this up so you can change out your batteries. All right, so that's pretty much it, guys. So you have your access back here for your batteries, and then 1, 2, that's it. You've just created your ancient arrow. All right, super cool, super easy, not a very complex build. Hope this was useful to you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Please, if you have any questions or anything like that, do feel free to leave them in the comments. And that's it, guys. Catch you on the next one. Cheers.